Chapter 71, Let the Dragon Breathe. With just a single glance from him, Peng Peng felt that everything he had done was worth it. At that moment, the players in the livestream room were all stunned by what they were witnessing. This game is insane. Monsters can transform? Holy crap! The zombie just turned into a werewolf? What the heck, it changed species entirely. According to some rumors, this zombie originally had a pet wolf, which he sent to infiltrate the Eternal Guild as a spy. Unfortunately, it was exposed and tortured to death by the guild. Whoa, so you're saying this werewolf might actually be the spirit of that pet wolf? Maybe it's a fusion. I have to admit, this game is truly something else. Or maybe it's him who's something else. No transformations like this ever happened until him showed up. True. And did you notice? When the zombie lunged at him, him didn't even bother dodging. It's like he knew exactly what was going to happen. Yet again, he's calculated everything? Well, with the Eternal Guild's pet monster defecting instantly, this battle just got a lot harder. Not necessarily. Don't forget, there's still a dragon left. Everyone's attention shifted to the Ender Dragon. After all, for the Eternal Guild, their only trump card was this dragon. Though 007 and Little Bug had merged, unleashing the repressed power inside them, the fusion took a heavy toll on their physical body. 007 struggled to recover, still far from peak fighting condition. Yet, he forced himself to stand, his body trembling. "My king, please, leave that dragon to me." Before 007 could finish speaking, Su Yuan interrupted. "No rush. I have a more important task for you later." Su Yuan noticed that 007 hadn't fully adapted to his new form yet. While the Ender Dragon was the guild's final trump card, to Su Yuan, it was just a minor threat. But with 007's current condition, battling a flying opponent would still be challenging, not due to a lack of strength but because 007 couldn't fly, putting him at a severe disadvantage. Understanding this, Su Yuan teleported to confront the Ender Dragon midair. The sight of him appearing across from them in the sky made Yonghui and Songlong, who were on the dragon's back, tense up. They had just witnessed 007's transformation and knew from the moment he knelt and called out, "My king," that their hopes now rested solely on the Ender Dragon. Fortunately, 007's post-transformation state left him weakened and temporarily unable to fight. Otherwise, even with a powerful dragon, they would have stood little chance in a 2-on-1 confrontation. Damn it. We have no choice but to go all out. Songlong, let the dragon breathe fire. Upon receiving Songlong's command, the Ender Dragon opened its massive jaws. A purplish flame gathered at its throat, condensing into a fiery orb of dazzling intensity. The blazing sphere, 5 blocks high, hurtled toward him with blinding speed. Given the short distance between him and the Ender Dragon, him had no time to dodge. The flaming orb struck him squarely, dispersing into a cloud of purple vapor, a true dragon's breath. Seeing their attack hit its mark, Yonghui and Songlong could barely contain their joy. But their celebration was cut short. Him's reaction was like a slap to their faces. He merely frowned, brushing off the lingering purple mist from his shoulder as if it were nothing more than dirt. Not a scratch. Not even a hint of injury. Yonghui and Songlong's minds went blank. The dragon breath didn't work? Impossible. It's dragon breath. Their shock stemmed from testing the breath's effectiveness on 007 earlier. It had been potent enough to wound him. This gave them confidence they could hurt him since both him and 007 were supposedly of the same type. If 007 could be harmed, so should him. But they were overthinking it. They had no idea that 007 and him were on entirely different levels. While both were monsters, 007 was a creation of him himself. Naturally, their makeup was worlds apart. Nor did they know about him's passive abilities, fire immunity and potion immunity. In the original MC game, Dragon Breath essentially acted like a lingering area effect damage potion. Here, it seemed to be modified with added fire damage. But for Su Yuan, it made no difference. He was completely immune. In fact, had he lost any health, the purple mist might have even healed him due to its instant damage over time properties. The mere thought of him healing from a dragon's breath would have driven Yonghui and Songlong mad with despair. Thankfully for them, him didn't need the healing. Below, even 007 was stunned. He'd been burned by dragon breath before, so he had worried about his master's safety. But now, he realized his concern was pointless. In such a short time, his master's power had grown beyond comprehension. It seemed him alone could obliterate everyone here. Meanwhile, the live stream chat was filled with question marks. Wait, what? Immune to dragon breath? Didn't he only have arrow immunity before? How did he evolve to resist dragon breath too? I'm not exactly sure how strong dragon breath is, but judging by that massive orb and those flashy effects, it's clearly no joke. Yet it didn't even faze him. So, here's the question, how do you hurt him? Good question. Maybe call the G. After casually brushing off the purple mist, Su Yuan glanced at the Ender Dragon and pondered for a moment. He opened his intimidation system. Seeing a new option labeled Young Ender Dragon appear in the system panel, he finally understood. So that's why the Ender Dragon can be tamed. It must have been hatched from a dragon egg. Since it was marked as a young Ender Dragon, there was only one explanation. It had been hatched. Normally, defeating an Ender Dragon would yield an egg, which was more than just a decorative item in this game. This made sense. Players wouldn't tolerate going through such a tough battle only for worthless loot. It appeared this game's Ender Dragon had been given a power boost. And if its egg could be hatched, it would be a reasonable bonus. Su Yuan wondered if this privilege was limited to first kills, a common mechanic in many games. He turned his attention back to the intimidation system and saw the cost to unlock the young Ender Dragon's control. Only 50 million? By comparison, unlocking control of an adult Ender Dragon would cost 1 billion intimidation points. He'd even grumbled about that before. This is a deal too good to pass up. Killing the dragon outright would be simple, a single fatal axe strike. While he'd gain skills by defeating it, taming the beast was a rare opportunity. Summoning another dragon would require returning to the end, a tedious process. Plus, he wasn't sure if a tamed Ender Dragon could leave the end, since its natural state was to circle the Ender crystals. Reviving it would require another egg, and if the first kill mechanic was true, that could mean a serious bottleneck. So, with a dragon conveniently delivered to him, why not make it his own? Would you like to spend 50 million intimidation points to unlock control of the young Ender Dragon? Chapter 72007. Yes. Unlock successful. The recent events sent shockwaves through Yonghui and Songlong's hearts. Though they had already sensed that defeat was imminent, as leaders, surrender was simply not an option. They had to fight to the bitter end. Damn it. Charge him. If long-range attacks won't work, then we'll take him up close. Songlong, command the Ender Dragon to strike. Upon Yonghui's command, Songlong immediately directed the Ender Dragon to dive toward him. The Ender Dragon moved with blinding speed, its massive frame surging forward with a force that was nothing short of overwhelming. Yet, him remained motionless, as if oblivious to the impending threat. Just as the Ender Dragon was about to crash into him, he raised his hand slightly, making a simple stopping gesture. In that instant, the Ender Dragon, which had been speeding headlong, abruptly stopped midair, halting right before him. Yonghui and Songlong were dumbstruck. What? What's going on? Why did it stop? Yonghui and Songlong were left stunned, unable to make sense of what they had just witnessed. They glanced at him, now just inches away. This was their first time seeing him this close. Both quickly averted their eyes, as if even gazing directly was too much to handle. At such a short distance, the suffocating pressure emanating from him crashed over them like a wave. Even Yonghui, a seasoned guild leader who had encountered countless foes, couldn't bring himself to hold him's gaze. The oppressive aura radiating from him was simply too powerful. Yonghui felt a chill in his bones the moment their eyes met. From that single glance, he knew they had no hope of victory. And in him's eyes, he saw only darkness and malice without end. It's over. The realization hit Yonghui hard, albeit belatedly. Meanwhile, Songlong hadn't fully grasped the situation when the Ender Dragon beneath him began to tilt. Him's hand rotated slowly in the air, and as if in response, the massive dragon flipped upside down mid-flight. The great beast flapped its wings desperately, suspended upside down in the sky. With a sudden jolt, Yonghui and Songlong were thrown off its back. Viewers in the live stream erupted in shock. Wait, what? Him can control dragons now? This is insane. Him, how many more surprises do you have for us? History really does repeat itself. Last time, Him faced a pack of wolves. Now, it's a dragon. How long has it even been since then? I thought Eternal Glory was unstoppable with these monsters, but oh, turns out they were just Him's pawns. I underestimated him again. Him, didn't see this coming, did you? Your trump card? Yeah, it's my minion. Brutal. Just too brutal. From that height? They'll splatter, right? Does the game even have that kind of effect? Yonghui and Songlong plummeted rapidly, bracing themselves for the inevitable end. Resigned, they shut their eyes and waited for death. But, moments before they hit the ground, they suddenly stopped mid-air. When they opened their eyes, Him was floating beside them. Before they could even comprehend what was happening, the scenery blurred, and they were swiftly transported back to the midst of the player crowd. Yonghui and Songlong were bewildered. Am I seeing this right? Did Him just save us? What the hell is he planning? Despite Him's apparent rescue, neither of them believed they were out of danger. In fact, it was precisely because of this intervention that their fear deepened. They had expected a quick end. Instead, Him chose to spare them. Though his intentions were unclear, one thing was certain: Him wasn't letting them off that easily. Viewers in the live stream were equally flabbergasted by the sudden twist. What? Him actually saved them? Why do I feel like this is bad news? Yeah. Him is a master manipulator. Death isn't the worst thing for us players. Losing loot? We're used to it. But how does he know that? Damn, this is suffocating. If I were Yonghui, I'd just end it right now. Even if they want to, they'll need Him's permission first. Him's unexpected act of saving Yonghui and Songlong left even 007 puzzled. But before 007 could speak, Him addressed him directly. Your turn. With those words, Him vanished. In less than a second, he returned, this time with a horse by his side. Upon seeing the horse, something within 007 awakened. Normally, 007 wouldn't dare act without Him's approval. But now, he couldn't help himself. He leapt onto the horse's back. The moment he made contact, a surge of molten heat coursed through him, as if his body were filled with liquid fire. In an instant, the horse beneath him was engulfed in flames, its flesh reduced to ash, leaving only a skeleton. Yet, despite its skeletal state, the horse seemed more alive, revitalized by this transformation. On horseback, 007, too, was in shock. He could feel the boundless lava-like power flowing within him. Only now, on the skeletal horse, did he regain full control over his immense strength. Viewers, having witnessed this spectacle, were almost numb from the surprises. All right, fine. At this point, even if that zombie turned into a magical girl, I wouldn't be surprised. Is it even a zombie anymore? What should we call it? Wolf Demon King? Could work, but he's on a horse. Clearly, he's more of a knight. Then how about Wolf Demon Knight? That's clunky. Naming experts, assemble. Here I am. Since he fused with a wolf, but the wolf's dead. How about Wolf Spirit Knight? Death Knight? So badass. No arguments. Thus, what was once merely Him's zombie underling gained a title of its own: Wolf Demon King, Death Knight. Su Yuan gazed at 007, now fully evolved, with a sense of pride. From the start, Su Yuan had known 007 was special. He hadn't expected him to become his first and most loyal subordinate. With the rise of the Death Knight, he was confident that others like Null, Entity 303, and the Fear Lord would soon emerge as well. Su Yuan nodded to 007, and without speaking, his loyal subordinate understood. My king, leave them to me. Su Yuan noticed that with his transformation, 007 no longer stumbled over his words. He nodded again but issued one warning. Be gentle. Leave them alive. 007 was puzzled but obeyed. Su Yuan's gaze swept over the players, a hint of malice in his eyes. For them, death would be mercy. Wouldn't killing them be a waste? Chapter 73, Returning Their Own Medicine. What the Eternal Guild did to 007 wasn't the work of human hands. Being a zombie, physical torture didn't work, so they opted for psychological torment. Repeatedly, they threw wolves that looked exactly like Little Bug into the cage. Again and again, they poured salt into 007's wounds. They knew 007 was aware, and they knew how deeply he cared for Little Bug. So they targeted his pain, digging in mercilessly. If Su Yuan hadn't understood what they did, today might have ended like his encounters with the Triumph Guild and Cloud Soar Guild, a bloodbath followed by him walking away with kill points. But for acts like these, a quick death was too merciful. Since they had subjected 007 to both physical and mental torture, Su Yuan would repay them in kind. Upon hearing Su Yuan's command, 007 was slightly confused about his master's intentions. But questions were irrelevant. Obeying his master's orders was all that mattered. Understood. 007 mounted the skeleton horse and charged into the throng of players. His entire body radiated an intense heat, even the sword in his hand glowed red from the temperature. With a single slash, molten sword energy erupted, drenching the players in scorching lava. Because the game was fully immersive, with settings for all 5 senses, pain, smell, and taste were as close to reality as possible. This was why the game took 10 years to develop. For players, instant death was considered a blessing. It spared them from feeling pain. What they feared most was the magma. It felt terrifyingly real, as if their flesh was actually burning. Screams echoed as the players who were touched by the molten lava burst into flames. Damn it. This hurts so bad. Shit. The lava got in my eyes. Quick, quick. Who's got water? Players engulfed by the lava found their bodies immediately consumed by flames. Even those wearing iron armor were not spared. The game's settings were unforgiving, armor or not, you'd still burn. In moments, the air was thick with the smell of roasting meat. Eternal Guild members stared, stunned by 007's attack. How does he have skills now? He couldn't learn anything for so long before. This skill is wielding molten lava. It reminds me of when the guild master forced him to bathe in lava. So that's why his skin didn't burn. Did he absorb the magma and turn it into power? Are you telling me we created this monster ourselves? As realization dawned on the Eternal Guild members, they finally understood what had happened. Every aspect of 007's growth could be traced back to their own actions. Had Tianheng simply killed Little Bug instead of crippling it, 007 would never have devoured Little Bug and merged with it. Had they not subjected him to lava baths, he would never have wielded molten power. Had they not used Little Bug to provoke him again, he might have remained broken, never merging with it at all. Everything, every step, had led to the 007 before them. Tianheng regretted it deeply now. He hadn't expected the tortures inflicted on 007 to become his weapons. Riding his skeletal horse, 007 darted through the players, leaving trails of molten fire wherever he passed. Most Eternal Guild players wore iron armor, but under the scorching magma, their defense held for only 5.5 seconds. Without armor, death came in 2.5 seconds. This presented a cruel dilemma. The armor offered more time but also prolonged their suffering. The players were torn, leave the armor on or take it off. While 007 unleashed his assault, Su Yuan hovered in midair, resting atop the Ender Dragon's back. The screams from below were music to his ears. He had specifically ordered 007 to leave them alive. 007 had carried out his orders perfectly. With his power, he could have ended dozens in one strike. Pleased with how the battle was unfolding, Su Yuan opened the kill point shop. Since his last clash with Cloud Soar Guild, apart from spending 2.5 million kill points to upgrade teleportation for faster travel, He hadn't used his points. It was time to splurge. Scanning the ongoing battle, he considered his options for skill upgrades. Potion Throwing LV4 allows the throwing of poison, weakness, slow, instant damage, and healing potions. Cooldown, 5 seconds. Upgrade cost, 100,000 kill points. Not bad. This could be fun. After spending 100,000 kill points, Potion Throwing leveled up. Potion Throwing LV5 allows the throwing of lingering poison, weakness, slow, instant damage, and healing potions. Cooldown, 3 seconds. Potion Area of Effect, 15 by 15. Upgrade cost, 1,500,000 kill points. Satisfied with the skill's new effects, a devious idea popped into Su Yuan's mind. Closing the system, he directed the Ender Dragon to descend above the battlefield. The cries of the Eternal Guild players filled the air. Flames lit up the night, casting the scene in an eerie glow. Watching their agony brought a twisted joy to Su Yuan's heart. Their screams and pleas were like a symphony to him. While basking in their torment, he closely monitored their health. Whenever a player's HP was about to reach 0, Su Yuan swooped down on the Ender Dragon. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed a healing potion. Players, who thought they'd finally find relief in death, were suddenly saved by a potion from above. But the healing only restored their health. It did nothing to douse the searing flames clinging to their bodies. At first, they thought an ally had arrived. But then they saw it was him. Horror dawned as they realized Su Yuan's true intent. He doesn't want us dead. He wants to torture us. Is he using our own methods against us? Have we lost even the right to die? The entire battlefield scene played out in front of the livestream viewers. Seeing the Eternal Guild suffering and hearing their cries, they finally understood the weight of facing a true demon king. He could have ended this quickly, but he chose torture instead. Have you ever been burned by magma? The pain, it's unforgettable. Even with the lowest pain setting, it's unbearable. Those who know death would be mercy, but him denies them that. He's strong enough to decide who lives and dies. Looking back, him was almost merciful with the Triumph Guild. He can read people's hearts. He knows death would be release for the Eternal Guild. I heard rumors. They tortured the Death Knight with magma baths and mind games. This is poetic justice from him. The battlefield was steeped in despair. Eternal Guild players wished for the sweet release of death. But him would not grant it. The Death Knight slaughtered while him stood by, prolonging their suffering. Songlong and Tianheng writhed in the flames. Songlong and Tianheng were hollow-eyed, broken. Only now did they grasp the absurdity of their ambition. They'd thought themselves capable of challenging him. But as they danced to his tune, utterly helpless, they realized how deeply they'd erred. Seeing their despair, Eternal Glory knew his comrades were beyond saving. Victory was already out of reach. But they could not allow themselves to be toyed with like this. As the guild leader, he had to stand. Everyone, get it together. This is just a game. You're not really being roasted alive. Anyone with a bucket of water, step forward. Despite the searing agony, Eternal Flame barked orders. Most were too new to the game to understand the importance of bringing water. A few had, but shock had driven it from their minds. Once gathered, Eternal Flame prepared his final stand. Chapter 74 Psychological Warfare. A 2x2 square was quickly built on the ground. Then, 2 players poured buckets of water at opposite corners. This instantly created an endless water source. With this done, Yonghui immediately barked orders. Hurry up! Grab some water and splash it around. Cover as much ground as possible. Yonghui's quick thinking paid off. Soon, several players with iron buckets rushed over, helping spread water across the battlefield. The members of the Eternal Guild, standing in the water, finally felt the burning sensation subside. Up in the sky, Su Yuan observed the scene and glanced at 007. Coincidentally, 007 was looking back at him. Although 007 said nothing, Su Yuan instantly understood his intent. He knew what the issue was. 007 sought Su Yuan's permission to disrupt the infinite water source. Su Yuan pondered for a moment. Then he opened his skill panel and browsed for a bit until he paused. Stealth LV5 allows concealment within any block and the ability to manipulate stone blocks. Consumes 1 million kill points to upgrade. At level 5, this skill could control stone blocks. Su Yuan speculated that with further upgrades, it might extend to obsidian control. If he could command obsidian, it would be a powerful edge against the Eternal Guild. His earlier torment was merely physical. With this skill, it would transcend to psychological warfare. With this thought, Su Yuan promptly upgraded his stealth skill. Stealth LV8 allows concealment within any block and the manipulation of obsidian. Consumes 3 million kill points to upgrade. Bringing stealth to level 8 cost Su Yuan 7 million kill points. Thankfully, Su Yuan had a stockpile of unused kill points. Otherwise, the cost would have been steep. Regardless, even depleting his points for this upgrade was worth it. Controlling obsidian was among him's iconic abilities. Moreover, it was particularly useful at this moment. Once the upgrade was complete, Su Yuan signaled 007 with a glance, then shook his head. He indicated for 007 not to act rashly, to keep attacking the players instead. Without interference from 007, the Eternal Guild members worked quickly, dumping bucket after bucket of water. The battlefield was soon almost entirely submerged. Su Yuan waited silently in the sky, watching the water spread. Although Yonghui had managed to free the players from their torment, he couldn't hide his growing panic. Him floated above, watching the scene below with a cold gaze, making Yonghui's heart race. What the hell is he planning? Truth be told, Yonghui wasn't afraid of him suddenly swooping in for an instant kill. A quick death would spare him the mind games and anxiety. It was him's current behavior, unpredictable and ominous, that terrified Yonghui the most. Those glowing white eyes seemed to harbor endless malice. Yonghui knew him would act, but not knowing when or how was pure torture. He couldn't fathom him's intentions at all. Every move him made was beyond his grasp. Damn it! Can't he just get it over with? In the livestream, viewers shared Yonghui's unease. It's not him's brutal strength that scares me, it's his mind games. This is psychological warfare. He could kill instantly but chooses not to. Instead, he toys with them, making them suffer and guess when and how they'll die. I think him won't actually kill them. Death would be too kind. If he wanted them dead, he'd have done it already. Is he planning to trap them instead? But how? No idea. No one knows the full extent of his powers. Did anyone notice? Even through the pixelation, him's eyes look darker, more evil. I was thinking the same. There's something different, more sinister. Even through the livestream's pixelation, viewers felt the intensity of him's sinister gaze. The players on the ground felt it more acutely. They had no will left to fight. All they wanted was a quick death. Every second on the battlefield was agony. They lived in constant dread of him's next move. What new torment awaited them? This battle offered not even a sliver of hope. Their only option was to find small ways to reduce their suffering as him tormented them. Like standing in water to ease the burning pain. Damn it. This is pure torture. I don't even want to play anymore. I finally understand why the Cloud Soar Guild disbanded. We shouldn't have messed with that werewolf and zombie. In the end, it's all Cloud Soar Guild's fault. Damn it. While the players grumbled, him finally made a move atop his dragon mount. He glanced at the Death Knight, then nodded slightly. He didn't speak. But the Death Knight understood. He leapt from his skeletal horse, landing at the center of the battlefield. The ground was soaked. The Death Knight thrust his iron sword deep into the earth. The moment it touched the water, steam hissed, indicating its scorching heat. Roar! The Death Knight let out a ferocious roar. Cracks formed around the sword, rapidly spreading outward. The ground trembled, as if an immense force was rising from below. Suddenly, lava erupted from the cracked earth. Death Knight's skill, Lava Burst, channels powerful lava energy, capable of causing seismic eruptions. When the lava met water, it hardened into obsidian. As the molten rock surged, every water-covered patch turned into a mass of connected obsidian blocks. Before they realized it, the players found their feet trapped in obsidian, unable to move. The battlefield descended into chaos. What the hell is this? A glitch? Is this even fair? Crap. My feet are stuck. What kind of power is this? Manipulating lava at will? Damn it. We never should have let him bathe in lava. At the battlefield's edge, those who weren't yet ensnared had one thought: escape. With obsidian closing in, they fled. Su Yuan observed everything from atop the dragon. He knew 007's strength well. It could wield lava, which was why he instructed Yonghui to spread water. Combining lava with water created obsidian. Since Su Yuan controlled obsidian, he could trap everyone within. He glanced down, spotting players attempting to flee. With this in mind, Su Yuan reopened the system. He quickly found a skill to prevent their escape. Strong Web LV5 launches a web with a 50-point hardness to ensnare creatures, reducing movement speed by 150%. Consumes 1 million kill points to upgrade. Su Yuan upgraded it by 1 level for 1 million kill points. Strong Web LV6 launches a 15 by 15 web with 100-point hardness, reducing movement speed by 200%. This will do. Satisfied with the upgraded skill's effects, Su Yuan prepared to use it. Not only did it expand the web's coverage, but it also increased its strength. The skill had no cooldown. With this power, no one would escape without his say-so. Su Yuan was determined to make an example. Skill-ready, he guided the dragon to hover over the fleeing players. With a raise of his hand, a massive web descended. The moment it touched the players, they were trapped. They tried ripping it apart but found it tougher than steel, cutting themselves in the process. Their legs refused to budge. The web bound them tightly, leaving no room to move. Chapter 75, Can't he just end this already? Upon witnessing how effective the webs were, Su Yuan seized the opportunity. Riding the Ender Dragon, he cast layer after layer of webs around the battlefield, sealing it off completely. No one would leave today without his permission. Despair was etched across the players' faces. It practically seeped from their screens. Viewers watching the live stream shivered at the sight. He's not planning to kill them right away, is he? After all this time, it feels like the real nightmare is just starting. What does him even want? That's exactly it. Nobody can predict his moves. That's what makes it so agonizing. Are these really webs? Because they look like steel wires to me. Once you're bound, you're done for. In the bustling livestream chat, not a single person could decipher him's intentions. But one thing was clear. The Eternal Guild was about to experience genuine torment. Yonghui, Songlong, and Tianheng were now like beaten dogs, their pride shattered. They finally understood. Him wasn't like any other entity in the game. He was on another level entirely. Resisting was futile. They, like the other players, were left wondering what him would do next. In a flash, him teleported, gathering up players not trapped by the obsidian cage and dragging them to the area covered in black obsidian. He moved quickly and precisely, embedding these unfortunate souls within the blocks. With a casual wave of his hand, him lifted the players and their obsidian prison skyward. Everyone was stunned. What the actual? If I'm guessing right, he's controlling the obsidian. That's why we're rising. Damn it. Where are you? Give me a rational explanation for this. What is he trying to do? Can't he just end this already? The air grew thick with dread. The players rose higher until him halted their ascent. Looking down, they saw the Eternal Guild's headquarters beneath them, a perfect vantage point over their territory. While the captured players stared downward, him raised a hand again. The guild headquarters suddenly split apart like a layered cross-section. Blocks from the upper layer floated into the air, revealing the guild's internal structure, storage rooms, treasures, and all. Confusion spread like wildfire. What is he doing now? If he's going to destroy it, just destroy it. Why go to such lengths? Come on. Just kill us and get it over with. Arg. This is driving me insane. What kind of torture is this? The mental strain was becoming unbearable. Death would have been swift mercy, but him wasn't granting it. The guild members couldn't even comprehend the purpose of this humiliation. Viewers in the live stream couldn't see what the captives saw, but they could still spot the floating obsidian platforms and the exposed guild headquarters below. Newton must be turning in his grave. Everyone knows Minecraft doesn't play by Newton's rules. This game is one big leap between reality and virtual insanity. Him is absolutely absurd. He can control every single block. I was already floored by the Death Knight's lava earthquake, and that's just one of him's minions. But what's the endgame here? Feels like he's trying to trap them up high. But why dismantle their guild HQ? Peng Peng, observing the chaos, was equally perplexed. He raised his platform a few blocks higher to get a clearer view of the guild's innards. Then it dawned on him. He understood him's intention. After a moment's thought, Peng Peng made a daring decision. Breaking the block beneath his feet, he inched toward the Eternal Guild's territory. Him's eyes locked onto him instantly. The Death Knight nearby tensed, fearful of him's reaction, but dared not interfere. My king. To everyone's surprise, him didn't make a move against Peng Peng. He simply turned away, tacitly allowing his approach. Peng Peng exhaled in relief and rushed toward the guild headquarters. Viewers were dumbstruck. Why is him letting the streamer in? He's not attacking the streamer? What is going on here? Why is the streamer even heading in? I'm more confused than ever. As soon as Peng Peng arrived, the Eternal Guild players spotted him. He bolted straight for the storage rooms, pillaging everything in sight, stuffing his backpack to the brim. Then, with reckless abandon, he went on a destructive spree. Breaking anything he disliked, he even planted TNT in Tianheng's room and blew it sky-high, punctuating it with a disdainful spit. Still unsatisfied, Peng Peng turned to the players above and flashed a rude hand gesture. Weren't you all so high and mighty? The #1 guild? Enjoying the view from up there, are we? The scenery's not bad, is it? Your resources are great too. Since you can't come down, it'd be a shame to let them go to waste. I'll help myself, no need to thank me. Oh, and by the way, I'm a top streamer now. Tons of people are watching me. Pretty soon, you'll have even more visitors here. Make sure to greet them properly. Switching to third-person perspective, Peng Peng addressed the stream. Everyone, today's your lucky day. I'll drop the guild headquarters coordinates soon. First come, first serve. Peng Peng's grin couldn't be wider. He understood him's true intention now. Him was trapping the guild members here, forcing them to watch helplessly as everything they built was stolen. They'd be mocked, humiliated by every visitor. Their shame would be relived every time someone entered. This was his psychological torment, pure and relentless. Realization dawned on the Eternal Guild members. They trembled as the reality of him's sadism sank in. He's going to keep us here? He's making us watch everything we own get looted? Damn it. Just end this already. It's over, all 3 guilds' resources. What happens if it's all taken? Heh, you think we'll get out of this? Think again. Yonghui, Songlong, and Tianheng were paralyzed with fear. Him's cruelty transcended physical defeat. This was the ultimate humiliation. For this battle, they'd staked everything. But instead of annihilation, they were condemned to watch and suffer. The guild, once proud, was now a spectacle for every lowly player or wandering stranger to trample over. And they couldn't do a thing about it. This was a fate worse than death. Screw this. I'm done. Done? How'll you answer to the higher-ups? Damn it. What can we do? We're stuck here. Unlike other guilds, Eternal Glory had corporate backing. Now they were trapped, humiliated, and stripped of everything. Chapter 76. Thank you for teaching me the art of cruelty. The players of the Eternal Guild, trapped in obsidian prisons, finally understood the true meaning of despair. Yes, it was just a game. In theory, players could log out anytime. But right now, they were stuck in combat mode. The system displayed nearby wandering monsters, preventing any logouts. Initially, many players praised the game's realistic mechanics. Now they cursed those very features. Damn it. What kind of crap mechanic is this? I can't log out. Combat state? Do I look like I'm in combat? This is a hostage situation. Hell, I miss non-immersive games. At least you could force quit those? With no way to log off, their thoughts turned grim. They wanted to use flint or TNT from their inventories to end it all, but quickly found themselves thwarted. The obsidian prison was slowly rising, trapping their hands. Immobilized, they couldn't move a muscle. Hunger wasn't a way out either. The game's hunger system only drained health to half a heart, never to zero. Relying on others to rescue them? Impossible. PvP wasn't enabled yet, and the only option was for players to scale the platform with flint and TNT. But who would dare to go against him now? Even their own guildmates likely wouldn't risk it. Him's wrath had reduced them to this state. Who would want that kind of fate? The last option was to forcibly disconnect the device. Being a fully immersive game connected to neural pathways, this could cause minor brain damage, aptly nicknamed a headache. Desperation pushed some players to ask their friends in-game to yank their cables. But logging back in only returned them to the same prison. Their torment continued with every login attempt. The Eternal Guild members had finally tasted true hopelessness. Him had total control. What stung most was the irony. This was supposed to be a game where players ruled, yet here they were, prisoners. Feeling the crushing weight of their plight, they couldn't help but recall how they once trapped 007 using obsidian. Now, karma had flipped the script. Su Yuan had initially worried about keeping the players restrained. He feared they'd log off, ruining his intricate plans. But with combat restrictions in place, his job was easy. After arriving at the obsidian platform, Su Yuan summoned a clone and concealed it within nearby stones. This way, players couldn't escape by logging out. Having secured everything, Su Yuan approached 007. "Can you let it go?" Su Yuan asked, referring to 007's grudge against the Eternal Guild. 007 shook his head firmly. Never. Physical pain was tolerable, but the emotional scars from their cruelty were etched deep in his soul. He could never forget. Su Yuan nodded approvingly. Only by remembering such harsh lessons would 007 grow stronger. "Let's go." With a single teleport, Su Yuan whisked 007 and the skeletal horse away from the Eternal Guild's base. This place held too many painful memories. It was time to move on. Once him departed, Peng Peng dared to approach the obsidian platform. Even knowing him wouldn't kill him, the oppressive aura left Peng Peng uneasy. As darkness fell, Peng Peng got to work. Digging pits beneath the obsidian platform, he lured zombies into them. "Now you really can't log off," he chuckled to himself. Peng Peng's attention to detail was impressive. Even during the day, the zombies would remain in the pits, ensuring the Eternal Guild couldn't leave combat mode. Unbeknownst to him, Him's clone still lay hidden nearby, monitoring everything. With that settled, Peng Peng used blocks to ascend the obsidian platform. The Eternal Guild players, either in desperation or plain foolishness, begged him for help. "Brother Peng, save us. We'll forget the past. Peng Peng, just end it quickly. We'll even make you an honorary elder. There's a stash of TNT in the guild chest. Grab some, or at least flint." Peng Peng couldn't believe it. Players were actually asking him to kill them. He snickered. "Me? You guys are the top guild members. I'm just a humble solo player. How could I dare?" he mocked. "I just noticed it's getting dark, so I brought torches to help you out." His words left them stunned before they erupted in furious curses. "Torches? That stops mobs from spawning. Damn it. Are you him's lackey? You asshole." They had pinned their hopes on nighttime mobs killing them, unaware him had prepared for this. The hidden clone could control any spawning creatures. But Peng Peng's torch stunt crushed their remaining hope. If possible, they'd reach through the screen and tear him apart. But all they could do was rage impotently. After lighting up the entire platform, Peng Peng grinned. Much brighter, right?" he said cheerfully. "Thanks for teaching me the true meaning of cruelty." Peng Peng had vowed revenge for Little B. Though he was just a regular player, he did everything in his power to help. Unbeknownst to him, He played a critical role in the revenge plot. Without his persuasion, 007 might never have pretended to comply, leaving him subject to continued torment. His forum post revealing the guild's coordinates expedited him's arrival. Good deeds do bring rewards. In Pengpeng's case, it came in the form of the Eternal Guild's stockpile of gear and resources. At first, he planned to keep some for himself and distribute the rest. But fate had its own plans. Chapter 77. Offend him? Pay the price. At this moment, Pengpeng had a change of heart. In the past, whether in life or in games, he was always a small, invisible figure. Whenever faced with difficulties, Pengpeng's first instinct was always to run away. Because running away was the easiest option. Just like when he saw Tianheng ruthlessly killing Little Bug earlier. Although he wanted to intervene, he didn't dare to. So, Pengpeng always felt useless, like he couldn't accomplish anything. But after this incident, Pengpeng's perspective shifted. He realized that as long as he held on to a firm belief, no matter how hard it was, he would find a way to achieve it. Just like how he sought revenge for Little Bug. In the past, he would have dismissed such a goal as impossible. How could an ordinary player like him even dream of opposing the top guild in the game? Yet, through his own efforts, he actually made it happen. Granted, he did have a lot of help. But regardless, he had successfully avenged Little Bug. And he even humiliated those in the guild who had bullied him. Then, let's set another goal. My next goal is to meet Little Bug again. Earlier, when 007 merged with Little Bug, he had looked over at Pengpeng. That was when Pengpeng knew Little Bug was still there. Unfortunately, Pengpeng hadn't been able to speak with him. But this thought alone became his new motivation to keep playing. He wanted to grow stronger and meet Little Bug again. Maybe, just like this time, he could help Little Bug again in the future. With this determination, Pengpeng announced to his livestream viewers. Alright, everyone, I'm starting a guild. It's called the Demon Lord's Reserve Squad, and we're recruiting players who love him and Death Knight. You've seen it yourselves, I have these resources behind me. The guild will develop quickly. And we don't even need to build our own base. We just need to renovate this place. We can even enjoy the full-time attention of the top guild's players. So, if you're interested, join up fast. Pengpeng's move was a classic case of seizing the nest of others. One had to admit, Pengpeng truly understood the art of playful cruelty. He was even adept at adapting it to the situation. The Eternal Guild members already despised him to their core. If they saw Pengpeng taking over their territory and using their resources to grow his own guild, they'd probably be so enraged they'd faint. And once Pengpeng became the guild leader, he'd likely make a daily habit of mocking them. Being tormented by him was bad enough, but how could the Eternal Guild players endure being ridiculed by one of their own former underlings and traitors? As soon as the Eternal Guild players heard Pengpeng's words, a flurry of colorful curses erupted from their side. The louder they cursed, the wider Pengpeng grinned. This was the definition of impotent rage. Meanwhile, some viewers in the live stream didn't quite understand Pengpeng's actions. Why does it feel like this streamer has a deep vendetta against the Eternal Guild? Demon Lord's Reserve Squad? I've never seen someone simp for monsters like this before. Impressive? What do you mean, simp for monsters? Plenty of people like him, alright? Nothing wrong with it. Let's not forget people are allowed to like villains, thanks? Is it just me, or is there something special about Pengpeng's connection with him and the Death Knight? Agreed. Did you see how he charged in just now? And him didn't attack him. Rumor has it that the streamer was the one who leaked the Eternal Guild's base location. That makes sense. Wait for me, streamer. I'm switching sides. Pledging allegiance. So, you're saying him won't kill the streamer or his guild members? Damn. I'm in. Although some players disapproved of Pengpeng rallying him and Death Knight enthusiasts into a guild, none of them dared to underestimate him. They had all witnessed how Pengpeng had charged in, and him hadn't lifted a finger against him. This was the second time a player had met him without being killed, the first being those who betrayed the Eternal Guild by revealing their base coordinates. Steve, thank you, and no need to mention it. And the Death Knight seemed to have something to say, which also appeared connected to Peng Peng. With various rumors spreading, players quickly pieced things together. Peng Peng was indeed the one who leaked the Eternal Guild's coordinates. All these clues made people speculate. Many Him and Death Knight enthusiasts found themselves tempted to join. With access to the top guild's resources and the protection of Him and the Death Knight, wouldn't they become unstoppable in-game? Because of these developments, other guilds eyeing the resources held back. Initially, they thought stealing from a lone player like Peng Peng would be easy. But considering his ties to him, and seeing the defeated faces of the Eternal Guild members, they abandoned the idea. They couldn't afford to provoke him, let alone those close to him. The Eternal Guild's plight was a stark reminder: mess with Him's subordinates, and suffer the consequences. After ending his livestream, Peng Peng got to work refurbishing the guild base. Just days ago, he'd never have imagined that this place would be his. In the forest next to the Eternal Guild's base. Master! 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 I missed you so much. 007's drooping tail suddenly shot up, wagging so fast it was like a propeller. He stuck out his tongue and started licking Su Yuan's face. Su Yuan quickly pinched the wolf's snout. Even though he knew it was Little Bug's personality in control, it was still 007's body. Having 007 lick him like this was a bit too much. The moment Su Yuan grabbed 007's snout, 007 seemed to snap out of it. He immediately knelt down, as if arguing with himself. You must not disrespect our king. I always did it like this. It's your fault, you big oaf. The master doesn't like me anymore. Wah. But we're sharing a body now. We can't behave this way. Understood? No. I refuse. I want to lick the master's face. Watching 007 switch from drooping tail to furious wagging, from steady eyes to wide, puppy dog eyes, Su Yuan couldn't help but facepalm. Isn't this going to give you a split personality? Just then, a sinister voice suddenly echoed in his mind. They dare defend you, kill them. Su Yuan's expression instantly turned murderous. For a brief moment, he genuinely wanted to kill 007. But the feeling faded as quickly as it came. What's happening to me? The voice had been his own, but darker, more ruthless. In that moment, it was as if he had been possessed. Thankfully, he snapped out of it quickly. Otherwise, 007 might have truly been in danger. 007 noticed something was off with Su Yuan. He stopped bickering with Little Bug and lowered his head, worried that their antics had angered Su Yuan. Seeing this, Su Yuan took a deep breath and said calmly, "Get up." 007 looked up at him. Only after confirming Su Yuan's expression had softened did he slowly stand. Little Bug, meanwhile, kept silent out of fear. After rising, 007 seemed hesitant, like he had something to say but was too afraid to speak. Su Yuan could already guess what was on his mind. Speak. 007 hesitated for a long moment before finally asking, "My king, may I stay by your side from now on?" He feared being sent away again. Leaving Su Yuan's side last time had led to too many painful experiences. All he wanted now was to remain with him at all times. Su Yuan thought for a moment before opening the system panel. As soon as he did, several messages popped up. Fear value plus 12. Fear value plus 21. Chapter 78 Epic Siege. Ding. Fear value plus 17. Ding. Fear value has reached 1 million. Fear value store unlocked. Fear value store is now open. Faith value plus 11. Faith value plus 5. Faith value plus 2. Ding. Faith value has reached 100,000. Faith value store unlocked. Su Yuan stared at the notifications, momentarily stunned. 2 new stores? He quickly opened them to take a look. Fear value store. Note, fear value can be exchanged for kill points at a 1:10 ratio. Current fear value, 15,247. The fear value store contained nothing but this single note. It was completely empty otherwise. Su Yuan frowned slightly, then turned his attention to the faith value store. Faith Value Store. Current Faith Value, 2,403. The Faith Value Store didn't even have a note or instructions. Just a blank screen. Still, since the system specifically highlighted these two values, they were bound to be useful later. Perhaps he simply hadn't unlocked their full functionality yet. But there was one thing Su Yuan already appreciated: fear value was a pretty neat concept. The ability to convert it to kill points at a 1:10 ratio meant it would come in handy. Plus, it seemed to accumulate at a decent pace. In the time it took him to check the system, his fear value had already increased by nearly 10,000. Satisfied for now, Su Yuan turned to the kill points store. After his recent spending spree on skill upgrades, his kill points balance stood at just over 4 million. With his remaining kill points, Su Yuan was considering activating a mod. Wandering around aimlessly looking for players wasn't exactly efficient. Activating a mod meant monsters from the mod would contribute their kills to his tally. However, Su Yuan's first choice wasn't going to be the Twilight Forest mod. Sure, it was the cheapest option, but it wasn't purely a monster-based mod. While challenging for players, it also offered them opportunities to grow stronger. The weapons in the Twilight Forest, like the Diamond Minotaur Axe, Dusk Staff, Zombie Staff, Vampire Staff, Ice Sword, Multi-Shot Bow, Ender Bow, and Tracking Bow, were all insanely powerful. Once players obtained those weapons, they would make short work of monsters in the main world. Their kill counts would skyrocket, giving them the means to unlock their own mods. And there was no way Su Yuan was going to do something that worked against his own interests. If he were to activate a mod, it had to be one focused solely on monsters. With that thought, Su Yuan scrolled through the options. It didn't take long before two mods caught his eye: Rare Elite Monsters and Epic Siege. Both mods required roughly the same amount of kill points to activate, 10 million. If he had to choose between the two, Su Yuan leaned heavily toward Epic Siege. The sheer intensity of that mod far outstripped the Rare Elite Monsters. Upon selecting the Epic Siege mod, Su Yuan discovered it had 3 stages: Epic Siege I, Epic Siege II, and Epic Siege III. Each stage required an additional 5 million kill points to upgrade. Su Yuan let out a soft chuckle. So that's why it seemed so cheap. They're basically offering it on a payment plan. Still, even with the incremental costs, the Epic Siege mod was far superior to the Rare Elite Monsters. The monsters in Epic Siege had unique traits, like the ability to dig and place blocks, which far surpassed the simple stat boosts of the elites. Su Yuan made up his mind. My first mod will be Epic Siege. Although he didn't have enough kill points yet, he wasn't worried. Between the rapid accumulation of fear value, his monster farms, and the rampage of the creatures he'd already unleashed, he'd have enough soon. And if he still came up short, he could always extract some kill points from the Eternal Guild players. With over 70,000 members, each of whom surely had impressive kill counts, they were a goldmine. As the top guild, their members were bound to be worth a lot. Of course, Su Yuan wasn't planning to deal with them just yet. He'd let them sweat for a few more days. Having made his initial plans, Su Yuan closed the system and turned his attention to 007, who had been waiting patiently. "All right," Su Yuan said casually. "From now on you're with me." 007, who had endured so much, nodded gratefully. After all, the little guy had contributed significantly to Su Yuan's kill points tally. Giving him a break seemed fair enough. As they spoke, sunlight streamed through the trees, casting long shadows. Unnoticed by anyone, Su Yuan's shadow subtly rippled, shifting in ways that defied the natural laws of light and darkness. Meanwhile, at 0 Point Company's customer service department. "Boss, any word from above yet? I'm about to lose my mind with all these complaints. Damn it, I wish I could transform into employee number 9527 right now and disappear. My entire chat screen is flooded with messages about him. I don't even need to read them to know they're about him. These players are insane. 30 messages a minute, and not a single one repeats. They've managed to curse out every single one of my ancestors without repeating themselves once." With no way to vent their frustrations on him, the players had turned their wrath on the customer service staff. After the last catastrophic battle, The usual excuses like there's no bug in the game no longer worked on the players. Even the guild master of the Eternal Guild, Yonghui, was demanding an explanation from the company. Faced with over 20 gigabytes of complaint files, Customer Service Director Wang could only sigh deeply. I might have underestimated just how serious this is. Unable to endure the pressure any longer, Wang compiled the files, tagged them as urgent, and forwarded them to the higher-ups and the technical department. In the technical department, Minister Wu sat alone in his office, chain-smoking and stewing in frustration. He'd just come out of a meeting where the higher-ups had completely thrown the blame on his team. Typical, Wu muttered bitterly. If anything goes wrong, it's always the tech team's fault. Chapter 79, Employee ID 303. The real issue here. Could he really blame the tech department for this? Before the game's launch, they tested it daily for an entire month. Every single member of the tech team took turns running internal tests. There were no bugs. If there was anything unusual, it was just a feature, something built into the game. There was no way any kind of sentient monster could naturally form. Old Wu had even reviewed the reports from customer service. He couldn't deny it, this monster did exist. And it was definitely not part of the original game data. Based on his years of experience, Old Wu suspected the culprit was likely a player. Someone had hacked into the game system and maliciously altered the program to create this thing. Dealing with it wouldn't be hard. All they needed to do was run a full scan and clean up the infected files. With that in mind, Old Wu stepped out of his office. The tech department was bustling with activity, as usual, with everyone hard at work developing new game features. Scanning the room, his gaze fell on one employee who was, of all things, napping at his desk. Suppressing his rising irritation, Old Wu strode over to the sleeping techie's workstation. He glanced at the ID badge. Employee ID 303. Name Emojiang Mojing. Old Wu was already in a foul mood after being chewed out by upper management. Catching someone slacking off was the final straw. Knock, knock, knock. He rapped on the desk loudly. Mo Jiang jolted awake, looking like he was about to curse whoever dared to disturb him. But as soon as he saw Old Wu, he deflated like a popped balloon. Minister Wu. Mo Jiang stammered. What's up? Caught red-handed, Mo Jiang could only scratch his head awkwardly. There's been a breach, Old Wu said curtly. Someone, either a player or a rival company's techie, hacked the game. I need you to fix it. I'll send you the relevant files in a bit. Most of Zero Point's tech staff were former hackers, experts in their craft. Handling a breach like this? Child's play. Got it? Stretching lazily, Mo Jiang prepared to dive into work. Shortly after, Old Wu sent him the necessary files. When Mo Jiang opened the folder and saw it was over 20 gigabytes, he froze. 20 gigs of data. Are you kidding me? Mo Jiang couldn't believe his eyes. How could a breach generate so much data? For a moment, he suspected Old Wu was messing with him, but he had no proof. Reluctantly, he resigned himself to his fate. After all, he'd been caught slacking. With a sigh, he began sorting through the massive folder. An hour later, he had a general understanding of what had happened. Looks like a case of dirty corporate competition, he muttered. Probably hired some hacker to mess with us. What stood out, though, was how him, the mysterious entity, behaved. Its actions were eerily human-like. Logical, calculated, and precise. This wasn't random behavior generated by code. Mo Jiang noted that him initially used skills from the game's monsters. Skills that could be copied and enhanced by tampering with game data. All signs pointed to a classic case of hacking. Determined, Mo Jiang requested access to the game's database. From there, he dove headfirst into locating any signs of a breach. Normally, breaches leave traces, logs, IP addresses, something. Finding them just took time. 4 hours passed. Mo Jiang stared blankly at the screen. What the hell? Not a single trace. Nothing. What kind of hacker is this? Mo Jiang was a former top-tier hacker himself. Even he couldn't pull off a breach without leaving behind some kind of digital footprint. It was impossible. Unwilling to accept defeat, he ran another detailed scan. Another 4 hours later, The results were the same, nothing. It can't be. By now, Mo Jiang was breaking out in a cold sweat. If this wasn't an external hack, could it be the game itself created him? The mere thought sent shivers down his spine. Just then, Old Wu's voice snapped him out of his spiraling thoughts. Done yet? It had been over 8 hours since Old Wu assigned the task, and he was growing impatient. Mo Jiang hesitated but eventually explained the situation. Hearing his explanation, Old Wu's expression darkened. Are you serious right now? He barked. You're telling me the game created a sentient entity? Do you even hear yourself? We're a game company, not a lab for AI research. If we could create something like that, we wouldn't be wasting our time making games. Can't find anything in the database? Then go into the game. That him thing has a physical presence, doesn't it? Use your admin privileges to delete it directly. Faced with Old Wu's scolding, Mo Jiang could only nod silently. He had to admit, it was a solid plan. If him didn't have a physical form, the issue would be much harder to resolve. But since it did, killing it in-game should wipe it out. With no further complaints, Mo Jiang climbed into a gaming pod. By the way, Old Wu added as Mo Jiang powered up the machine, don't forget to rescue those players trapped under Yonghui's gang. Before Old Wu could say more, Mo Jiang closed the pod's hatch. Seeing this, Old Wu didn't press further. Mo Jiang wasn't a rookie, he knew how to handle the players' emotional fallout. Meanwhile, Peng Peng's live stream had blown up. Not only had he gained fame for openly defying the top guild, but his survival under him's nose had become legendary. Many players began speculating about his identity. Was he just lucky? Or was there more to him? Add to that the fact Peng Peng now controlled all of the top guild's assets, and it wasn't hard to see why players flocked to him. But the biggest draw? Peng Peng had connections to him. To most players, following Peng Peng was like an insurance policy. As long as they stuck with him wouldn't target them. It wasn't long before the old Yonghui Guild base, now Peng Peng's new headquarters, was bustling with activity. Someone even joked, "Ding! Famous tourist spot unlocked. Please look, but don't touch. Break something and it's 10 times the cost." Alright, folks, after the tour, write an 800-word essay titled The Formation of the Terracotta Army. Totally reasonable, right? Chapter 80 GM versus him. Hey, why'd you guys have to provoke him in the first place? How's the view up there? Need some snacks? I've got a stash of spicy strips. Most members of the Eternal Guild had already yanked their power cables to escape the game. But logging out didn't feel any better. A strange emptiness lingered. For many players, this game wasn't just entertainment, it was an entirely new experience. They'd spent countless hours exploring and enjoying it. Now, being unable to play left a stifling frustration, as if something had been forcefully taken away. It wasn't long before many of them found themselves unconsciously logging back in, only to discover Peng Peng smugly occupying their guild base, surrounded by a parade of players stopping by just to mock them. Frustrated, they'd log out again. And yet, they kept logging back in. For the members of the Eternal Guild, it had been a maddening cycle of mental torment. Logging out, logging back in, only to log out again. Him had completely broken them. At this point, they didn't even care about revenge. They just wanted to play the game in peace. The guild sponsors had already reached out to the developers, who promised to investigate and provide compensation. But promises wouldn't rebuild their shattered reputation. Still, most rank-and-file members weren't as well known as the higher-ups. If the guild collapsed, they could always leave and start fresh without anyone recognizing them. So, for now, they stuck around, waiting for salvation. Waiting for the GM to save them. Meanwhile, Peng Peng was bustling about the guild base, enthusiastically greeting the incoming players. Since you're all here, how about lending a hand with the repairs? After all, we're all going to be living here from now on. Hey, you over there! Stop taking selfies. It's just scenery. You'll be seeing it every day soon enough. Despite his newfound status and him's backing, Peng Peng remained approachable, blending effortlessly into the crowd. As everyone chatted away, a figure slowly emerged from beneath the obsidian platform. The red-colored ID above their head read, Admin 303. The figure was strikingly handsome, sharp brows, clear eyes, dressed in a pure white hoodie. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, pandemonium broke out. Holy craps! A live GM? Quick, selfie time. A wild GM encounter. Admin 303. Are you here to give us goodies? Excitement turned into confusion as the players processed what they were seeing. It was the first time since the game's launch that a GM had appeared in the world, and it just happened to be near the infamous Obsidian Monument. Something didn't feel right. Wait a second, is this because of him? Could it be? Are they here to fix the him problem? Oh wait, are they here to delete him? Damn it. We just found ourselves a reliable backer, and now it's all going to fall apart. The Eternal Guild players, as well as others who'd come seeking him's protection, grew visibly uneasy. Rumors had always circulated that him was nothing more than a bug. The developers had never clarified the issue, until now. A GM entering the game personally was a clear sign. Things were about to change. Everyone knew that GMs were all-powerful in this world. They could wield any in-game item, modify stats, and control monsters. Invincibility was just another part of their arsenal. And now, the ultimate authority had descended. Although him was strong, he was still a part of the game, a creation bound by its rules. The GM, however, controlled the rules. If they decided to delete him's data, it would be as easy as flipping a switch. Worse, with him gone, the Eternal Guild players would be freed from the Obsidian prison. Once that happened, reclaiming their base from Peng Peng would be child's play. This realization hit the crowd like a ton of bricks. Damn it, why did we come so early? My mom's calling me for dinner. Gotta go. Mr. GM, sir. There's no bug here. These people are stuck in the Obsidian of their own accord. Definitely not a glitch. Peng Peng stood rooted in place, trying to maintain his composure, but panic bubbled beneath the surface. If the GM dealt with him, the Death Knight would vanish too. And without him's protection, Peng Peng's fate was sealed. Worse still, Peng Peng would lose the little glitch he'd grown attached to. There was nothing he could do now but hope. Please let him be stronger than the GM. Meanwhile, Eternal Guild players trapped in Obsidian began wailing like banshees at the sight of Admin 303. Finally! We've been waiting so long for you. GM. We can't take it anymore. Please save us. Kill him. Delete him completely. It's over. With the GM here, him doesn't stand a chance. For the first time in days, they felt a glimmer of hope. Nothing in the game could surpass a GM's authority. Not him, not the Death Knight, nothing. In their eyes, him's defeat was inevitable. Admin 303, however, seemed slightly overwhelmed by the enthusiastic crowd. Please, everyone, go about your business. I'm just here for routine maintenance. With a few keystrokes, he teleported the gathered players to the guild base's entrance. Now alone, Admin 303 activated his scanner, searching the area for anomalies. Within moments, the scanner pinged. Beneath the Obsidian platform, a faint shadow appeared. A creature eerily similar to the him data file from the notorious 20 GB folder. Excitement surged through him. He hadn't expected to find him so quickly. Carefully removing the surrounding blocks, Admin 303 uncovered the final layer. Just as he prepared to break it, him emerged from the shadows. The crowd, still watching from a distance, froze. Him was hiding there the whole time? So the GM can track him that easily? Holy, is this it? Are they about to fight? Quick, someone start streaming. This is going viral. Within seconds, streams with sensational titles flooded the forums. Breaking. Epic battle. GM versus him. Admin 303 takes the field. Clash with him imminent. Click here to watch the GM destroy him. 1 minute, him's world. The next, the GM's. Players flocked to the streams, their excitement reaching a fever pitch. Bro, this is better than any blockbuster. Man, this really is the clash of the century. My money's on the GM. Finally, the devs are cleaning up this mess. About time. I just hope we get some decent compensation after this. Even though him had his share of fans, the majority of players sided with the GM. This was more than just a battle. It was a showdown that would determine the future of the game itself.